Good day, welcome to the video. Before I actually open up the app, I just want to explain what the actual app is. So this app is called NewsNest, and this is a news app courtesy of our news API that we've implemented, which I will be showing you as we go along in the app. This application in simple terms allows for you to find news, whether it be latest news or by categories, and reading the news in our actual application via a web view rather than going externally into the application. So users can come into application, find out the trending news, latest news, or any other category-based news, and read it off our application. And as well as a chat feature where users can chat to other recipients online and offline on the application, as well as very other features, which I will be showing you throughout the video. And this is all saved using Firebase, but with all that said, I'm going to open the application and actually show you the application. So our application is called NewsNest, and I'm just going to open it up and going to be brought in with a splash screen with our logo, and you're going to be brought into the login and sign up screen. So basically, this is just a simple login SSO, which is one of the first things in the rubric. I am going to be reading off the rubric while I'm explaining the app so that I can know that every point is covered. So the first point is that the app runs on a mobile device. This is my phone that I'm running on it right now. And the next thing in the rubric is the SSO sign in. So basically, this is a SSO sign in. You can log in with your email and your password, but if you don't already have an existing account, you can go ahead and create an account. So that's what we're going to do now. I'm going to tap on create a new account, and that's going to take me into the sign up screen. So here we can add an image, which is going to be implemented in the chat feature. I will show you that after the whole sign-in feature side of things, but that's going to be necessary for the chat feature. Same with the name, email, password, and confirm password. So that's what I'm going to do now. So first of all, I'm going to add an image. This is going to take me into my gallery, and I'm just going to choose a random image. I'm just going to say here, pick him. I'm going to say my name is Mark. Yeah, I'm just going to say Mark. I'm going to say mark@gmail.com. Obviously, this is not a real Gmail, but I'm just making it for the purpose of this. Mark Bunky. Mark Do. Password is going to be Mark Do 123. And I'm going to confirm password. So this is also an extra feature. So users can confirm the password that they've already typed in. And it's just an extra layer of security. So our password is Mark Do. And obviously, if we say sign up right now, obviously the passwords don't match. So if we say sign up, it's going to be error. Password and confirm password must be the same. So now we're actually going to write the actual password, which is MARKDOO123, and that should match. So now we're going to sign up. Okay, I'll make a simpler password, Mark123, Mark123. Okay, now the password should match, and now you're going to be brought into with a progress bar that loads up, and then it takes you into the application because you signed up. Because you signed up, there's no need to sign back in because you signed up just like any other application. And this is the front page that users will see once they enter the application. And I just want to show you a nice feature. Once you've logged in and you go out of the application, and let's say I swipe like this, I come back and I go NewsNest, my login details and my sign up details are still saved in the database, in the Firebase, and you're still brought into the home application, whether you turn off your phone, whether you close the application or you swipe it away, you're still going to be brought into the actual home screen because it's single SSO sign up and sign in, and you're going to be brought into the screen. And I'm going to be showing you that it's been saved in the firestore Firebase now. Okay, now that I'm on my laptop, I'm here to show you that the user does save into our firestore database. Obviously, here we have a collection called users, and the reason why we have in our firestore database is because it does incorporate with our conversations and our chat, which I will be showing you later on in the video. But we do have our collections named users, and this does save the authentication details of each user that's signed up. And as you can see, this is the Gmail that I am currently using right now for my application. I'm logged in as kdaniel@gmail.com. Right now, if I take you through the fields, you'll see that availability is equals to 1. Now, when a user is actually signed in and signed up and is actually has the application on their phone running, the availability is going to be 1, compared to if a user is already signed up and it does have the application on their device but they're not active. Just like here, the availability is going to be 0 because von@gmail.com is not online right now. But obviously kdaniel@gmail.com is online right now, so that's why the availability is equals to 1. Now, when a user is online and active using the chat feature, and is active in the whole application as a whole, an FCM token will be created, which is just a messaging token. So users can actually use the chat feature, which is why I said the users and the chat and conversations all are used together. So basically, availability and FCM token is generated for a user when they are active. And obviously, we have our email, which is kdaniel@gmail.com, our image, which is then transformed into a string, obviously, because you cannot save JPEG files or PNG files on firestore database. It has to be converted into a string. And obviously, then we have kdaniel, which is our name, and then our password, which we changed, was kdaniel1. And then if I show you the user that we actually created just now, the firestore database is just a bit acting slow for some reason. Obviously, yeah, this is the email that we made just now, mark@gmail.com. As you can see, I'm not online right now or signed in as mark@gmail.com. That's why the availability is 0. And obviously the image has been turned into a string. And obviously we see the name Mark Do and our password Mark123. I just want to show you the code real quick, just quickly, just to show you how it works. We have a preference manager for managing the preference, and as well as encoded image to just hold the encoded image as well. We have the calling and sign up and granting permission feature and method. And as you can see, we do get our Firebase Firestore instance, and we create a user map, hash map for the user, and then we save the name, email, passwords, and as well as the encoded image, which is then turned into a string. And yeah, so basically we encode the image from a JPEG file or any other file into a string, and then we decode the string to bitmap and set the bitmap to the image view as well to hide and add image text, and then encode the image into the firestore database. And obviously we have our valid sign up details, and then we see whether or not it's valid or if input is in the text boxes, and for us to give them error messages if they have done something wrong. And obviously it's the same as sign in activity, which is gonna go, it's literally the same thing using an inflat, the sign up layout, as well as again our firestore instance over here, as well as providing the query for the database to find the user with the provided email and password, and seeing if they match. And if the query is successful and the user is found, it does take the document snapshot and gets the user document, and then authenticates and then starts the main activity if the user has successfully signed in. But then obviously there's also an error message if the user is not successfully signed in, and also there's validations as well. So basically that's just the sign in and the sign up activity, showing you just how the code works, and as well as the firestore database in which it's stored. And now I'm gonna go back into the application and explain more. Okay, now that we're back, this is the home screen. So latest news. Here you can see all the latest news via our API. So I'm just gonna explain how that works. Before I do though, oh no, actually I will explain how the REST API works and the creation of it. I'll also be showing you in a different separate screen on my laptop how it does work. But right now I'm just gonna explain. So basically, we are pulling the news from an API that we designed to support a simple Android application that allows users to view, search, and save news articles via our application. And it utilizes Ohono.js, which is a lightweight and high performance web framework that is faster than Express.js, making it ideal for speed and efficiency. That's why if I go to the settings page and come back, it's speed and efficiency, and the news will still load up, even though it's coming from a API. The API is hosted on Vercel, which is taking advantage of its ability to run on the edge and different platforms, which ensures ultra low latency by serving requests closer to the, for the user. And yeah, we use different types of tech stack for the API. I will be showing you later. But yeah, so I'm just going to be telling you that the data source, the API queries RSS feed URLs, which provide news content in XML format. And then obviously we as a team made it so that it can display like this on the screen. And then an RSS feed is a standardized XML format, and which allows for regularly updated web content such as news articles that you're seeing now. And yeah, basically the extracted data is formatted into structured JSON responses and then sent to the client, which is what I'm seeing right here. So basically that's just a summary of how the API does work. And yeah, going back to the rubric, that is the creation of an API. So you can see basically the API is bringing it here, and I will show you the implementation of the REST API in my code right now. Okay, now that I am on my laptop, I'm going to be showing you the creation of the REST API and as well as the implementation of our REST API in our application. So basically, this is our GitHub repository for our OPSC7312 backend API. Obviously, we have our documentation and the backend API. So just to go through it again, I just want to tell you that it does utilize Hono.js, which is high performance for web framework, and it's ideal for speed and efficiency. And the API is hosted in Vercel as well, and it takes advantage of the ultra low latency by serving requests closer for the user as well. And basically, where the news is sourced. So basically, the API retrieves news articles from the public RSS feeds provided by various news publishers focusing on South African news. But obviously, as we saw in the application, you can also filter it through world news as well. So basically, the current API source article is from News24, which plans to add more sources as well. So basically, there's data source, which takes the API queries. I'll show you. It does take the API queries and the routes as well throughout the whole application. And yeah, the RSS feed URLs, which provide news content in XML format and a JSON file. And it does take RSS feed descriptions as well, which actually delivers regularly updated web content such as news articles and posts as well, as you can see on the application. So here we're creating the router and we're getting the homepage, which then returns the number of articles here. And then if the is successful, it does get all the top story articles. And obviously if there's an error, it does give us a description saying there's an error. And obviously we get the news articles route, and obviously it's basically the same. We get the title and we get the image, and we get the description of it as well. And obviously we get back our response. If it's a 200, then it's successful, and if it's anything other than that, a 500, then we have error response. And obviously we have our routes as well. This is just for the actual documentation, but yeah, obviously we have our layout on our page, which is also just the documentation, so users can actually read it. And this is our group as well. I actually, what I want to show you is the schemas, which is our news responses.ts. And basically this utilizes available RSS feeds with minimal setup, and allows for adaptation to various feed structures as well. And this allows for integration with additional resources, which is relevant to African news, which enhances our user engagement as well. And yeah, so basically, like I was saying, we do use Hono.js, which is a web framework for our API. And basically how it works is there are requests. The API receives data and structures, including parameters in the request URL. So basically we have our object here, and obviously we have our success, okay, and the status responses as well. And basically this one speaking about the article schema. So basically it takes the payloads in request bodies, and users can actually view the request via obviously our application. So using Zod schemas, schemas are employed within the API to validate incoming and outgoing objects, ensuring the type of security. Obviously, we have various objects here, and as well we have each of the article schemas as well, for news and user as well. And we also have our types, and basically we have our news, the TS. So basically this just shows the categories as well. So these are constant values, so that do not change. So top stories to African. So these are all our categories that are used for the article responses in our API, and as well as our index of TS. So basically these are just either the success response or the error response, which is then used throughout the whole API as well. Coming back to our schemas though, basically this is what the article schema is. So basically we have taken the title, the link, the description, as well as the thumbnail, which is our image, and previewed it into our application. And this uses constant strings that I've just showed you in our types, and then it just displayed to the user using the UID of the user. And basically this is how it works. Yeah, this is just a quick rundown of our API and how it's made. Obviously we get the articles by title, as well as each article's name, title, yeah, just basically everything, and everything is here. The documentation is also here as well for users to read as well, and how the API actually runs. And yeah, so the API returns structured JSON objects containing the requested data or the outcome of an operation, such as a list of articles as well. So the data structures for both requests and responses are predefined, and it's validated using Zod schemas and agreed upon between the front end and the back end, ensuring that there's consistency, regularly updates of the news articles, as well as safety and efficient data handling across the application as well. And yeah, so basically that's just basically the API and how it's made. And obviously we host it as well. So the API is hosted on Vassal, leveraging its network capabilities and ensuring ultra low latency as well. That's why over here, if we do search open source OPSC, so basically it is hosted on Vassal, and users can come and view the documentation or request some articles as well. Yeah, and there's our various categories as well. It's all been updated. And yeah, we use the application /JSON to get the schema, and then if it's okay, it does then respond with an actual article. So yeah, Vassal provides a streamlined deployment process, allowing us to focus on development, and it then utilizes Firebase services, ensuring that for efficient data management combined with Vassal's edge network as well. The API serves requests from the news articles, and right now this is our API and how it works. Obviously there's a bit more going on with it, but I just want to give you a rundown. But quickly, this is just how it is implemented into our database, into our application, sorry, just the code. Obviously we have each category's news activity, but I'm going to show you the main activity. Actually, I'm going to show you African news activity, and I'm going to show you that the function then creates instances of the African news activity, and then it then creates an article adapter for users, which I will show you down there, and it then fetches the article specifically just for African news. And then yeah, when we do fetch the African news article, it then uses our base URL, which I just showed you now, and it then converts the JSON responses into Kotlin objects so that it can be shown to the user. And we use retrofit to create an instance of the news service interface to define the API methods, and it does fetch the news specifically by category. And over here in the API we have news service. So basically this is where we're actually getting our query link, and retrieves all the articles from the API
And basically we are getting all the articles here via API/news. And over here, these are all the queries that we are doing to get the different categories that we do have. So basically, specifically under the business category from the API, we have API/news, and then we have a question mark, and then our query, which is category is equals to business. And then we get the business articles, and then we then use it inside the activity over here, business articles. We then call the base URL, but then we then get the business articles query from the news service. Same with get sports, the category is equals to sport, which is our query. Same with top stories, so Africa, tech, world, and opinion as well. So basically, with these search queries and getting the queries, it's just retrieving the article specifically related to a specific category from the API. And obviously, this is our default response call, and it retrieves all the articles from the API. So basically, that's just how it works. And then it handles a successful response, and when the response is successful, it then brings in the body of the actual article. And obviously when the failure comes, it says error, can't load articles. But yeah, that's basically how it does display on our application. Obviously we have our models, and basically this is just the article strings, which are constant, which is the title, description, thumbnail, and link. This is yet to be implemented. But yeah, that's basically what is shown on our actual applications. And the news response, these are just a list of articles returned by the API as well. The article adapter, so basically just a quick rundown. This basically sets the article titles, description, and the image as well onto our actual recycler view so users can see it. And then obviously when users do click on the item, it then passes the article for them to read. And obviously same with the category adapter, is the same thing for each category. It passes the current category to the view holder so users can view it as well. And basically this is the code. And the last thing is just the article detail activity, and obviously it retrieves the article link passed through the intent, and then users are now able to then view via web view client on our application to navigate to the web view, and then turns that JSON file into actual news and allows mixed content, both HTTP and HTTPS, to run our Android, and then it then loads the article URL to be shown to the users. So basically this is just how the API is used in our application via the base URL that is our API hosted on the net. So basically this is just how our API works, and I'm going to return back to the video to explain more of our project/application.
Okay, now we are on the home page. This is latest news. So I'm gonna click on any news article here. Users are brought into the home screen to look at any news article. So I'm gonna click on here, this news article. I'm gonna be brought into a web view, which you can actually see the news on our actual website and read through the news. So basically this is what the core function of our application is. And you can actually read the News 24 news on our actual application via the API. If we go out, and let's say we want to go into another news article, we're gonna click on this one, and we can read the headline right there, the images and everything, and obviously the news article as well. That could be set as our first feature, but our actual first feature that we're gonna go through is categories. So on the rubric, it does say we need to have 3 user-defined features, and this is our first one, which is categories. So basically, we can sort through the news articles from our API via queries for categories. So we have our top stories, so African news, world news, business news, sport news, opinion, tech. I'm going to run you through just so you can see that everything is the same as the homepage, where we do see latest news, and you click on read more for top stories, and then you go and you can just click on any news article over here, and you will see that it does work, and it's still the same thing. You can read any article that you want via our news article. Obviously top stories is always the latest news or the top stories throughout the world or in South Africa. as you can see, that's the top stories. South Africa specific news. You can come here and you can read through each article. Obviously, you have the headlines and everything. You can read through each article that you want, and it's all specific to the user. So user has a variety of articles to read, and that is why this app is so beautiful, because you can sort out through categories for your desired needs. Africa as well is also the same thing. You can do as read or do as many articles as you like. And yeah, that is the same for every category here. I'm just gonna go through it quick so you can just see that it all works and it's implemented properly. Business news, as you can see, all here properly. Business news, and then now we go into sports. You can read any sports news that you want. It's all access to you. And the great thing about our news application is that through the API, it does update regularly the news through our API. Sport opinion as well. You can read any news article that you want for opinion-based news, and you can just go ahead and read. And as well, you can also sign into News 24 on our actual application as well. So that's opinion news, and obviously the last one is tech. You can come here and read any top headline tech news as well, and sit here and just read. And it's just good that the application actually opens up a web view for you in the actual application, and you don't go to an external application or an external website, which is great for not only security but for trust in the user as well. So basically, categories is our first main user-defined feature, and yeah, that's basically how it works. Our second user-defined feature is our messages/chat feature, where users can come and basically just chat with anyone in the application that has been successfully signed in. So right now we're gonna press here. Obviously above you can see our name, our profile picture, which is why I explained in the sign up section that it's necessary for users to have a profile picture, because of that, so other users can see that you are indeed real. We're gonna click here and we can select a user. So all these are basically just test Gmails and users that we've used throughout the making of the application. And obviously this is me, so obviously you can tap on someone's name and you can message them as well. Hey, how you doing? And basically users can chat with each other on the application about anything that they want. Did you see the tech news? And yeah, users, and it obviously has the date, the time, the timestamp. The XML is so beautiful and so clean and laid out properly. Users can as well see whether or not the recipient is online. Right now, I don't have it on the phone to test it with, but it does work. And if I'm online and the person I'm text messaging is online as well, on top there under my name, you can see that the user is online, which is also a cool feature. And obviously, if you come back to the chat messages homepage, you can see that my latest message and the recipient that I'm messaging is also here as well. So just a good way to keep in touch with users on the actual application, read news, come chat to people online as well. And basically, this is just how a chat application works. I'm gonna log out real quick so that you can see that the user does get it from their end as well. So I'm gonna just go quickly to settings and just gonna log out so I can show you. So basically, sign out, and this is also how the sign in implementation works. So I'm just gonna say kdaniel@gmail.com, and my password is kdaniel, and I'm gonna sign in as kdaniel, and I'm gonna show you that the chat feature does work. Obviously, I'm still brought back to the same homepage, categories page, but what I do want to show you is the messages page, and you can see that Mark Do, the person that I was just logged in as sent me messages, and I can see and I can respond to them, and I can say, hey, how you doing? Did you see the tech news? I'll say, yes, I saw the tech news. And obviously you can use emojis as well if you want as well. Yeah, basically this is just how the chat feature works, and recipients can view on their side as well. And yeah, that's basically how that works. So we're gonna go back. That's basically the chat feature, and also obviously users can speak to uh, anyone they would like in the actual application. As long as they're successfully signed in, users can speak to anyone they like, whether they be their friends or strangers or anyone reading the news. And yeah, that's our second user defined feature, which is the chat feature. I'm going to be showing you that it does save in the database now.
Okay, now I just quickly want to show you right now in our Firestore database that the conversations and the chat do save on the database. So basically here we are in our conversations collection, and our document and our fields. We have our last message, which is then sent by the user. Each user has a receiver ID and a sender ID. So when a user does send a message, they have a sender ID, and whoever is receiving the message will have a receiver ID uniquely to themselves. And the receiver, if receiver will have an image, is the same as the sign up and the sign in. The user will have an image as well, and as well as the receiver name. Same with the sender. The sender has a unique ID for themselves, and obviously the sender image, which is the image that they signed up with, as well as the sender name and the timestamp of the message going through. And this is constantly for every single user and their last message that was effectively used in the conversation. Also, if you go into chat, you'll be able to see the actual message that was sent or received. And obviously you can see the message in the fields for the collection chat, and you can see the actual message in the string. It's receiver ID's unique ID, the sender's ID unique ID, and the timestamp in which it was actually sent. And this is literally for every message that is on the application. So the application just store each chat and each message being sent through the application. So yeah, this is basically just how the chat feature works and how it does save into the database. So I'll be going into the application to show you how the rest of the application works.
Okay, now that I've shown you that the chats do save to the database and that's why it does display, I'm gonna go back to our final user-defined feature for POE Part 2, which we're gonna go into the settings for. And another thing in the rubric is basically the settings menu that makes sense for the application. Obviously here we have our profile picture, our name, and our Gmail. Dark mode is our third and final user defined feature. Users can have a preference, and we use the preference manager in our code to allow for users to have a preference between dark mode or light mode. Right now I'm on light mode. As you can see, dark mode is switched off, but I just want to show you everything else in the settings before I do show you the third implementation feature implementation. So here users can edit their profile, bookmark, which is not a feature yet, but which will be implemented in the next POE, terms and conditions, and log out, which we have seen. So our third and final user-defined feature is dark mode. And if I click on dark mode now, the button, it toggles from light mode to dark mode. As you can see, it then changes into dark mode, and the whole application is then run into dark mode. This took extensive time as we did make it for every page available, for every top story, every category we made it for. So basically, this is how the application does work when toggled through dark mode. All the colors, all the hints, all the different buttons are then transformed or kind of displayed in dark mode with white text, just like vice versa for light mode as well. And users can also just keep on having the preference whether or not they exit the app and come back in. The dark mode is still implemented there. Whether they click away and they come back, the dark mode is still implemented there, which is such a good feature to have. And the preference is always managed and the preference always stays in the application, which is good. So basically that is our third and final user-defined feature. So we can have users be more for user preference, for user accessibility, in case people have sensitivity in their eyes, or it's basically just for the user and their preferences. And going back into our settings page, which is also a feature in our rubric, which says the settings menu that makes sense for the application. Basically, as you can see, we have dark mode, which I've shown you. Users can edit their profile. As you can see, we have my profile picture. kdaniel@gmail.com, and I can change my password. And this one I'm gonna say kdaniel. So my original password is kdaniel. So now I'm gonna say kdaniel1, just to show you that it works. And now I can update my account, and profile updated successfully. And obviously we've already seen the logout, but once I show you the logout, as you can see, my password will be changed in the database as well. But obviously if I log in now, and I logged in with my old password, which is kdaniel, unable to sign in because the password is wrong. But if I type in with my new password I just changed, sign in, as you can see, I'll be brought back into the main application. And yes, that's basically how the application works. Obviously, because I signed out and I signed in, the user preference does go back to default, but obviously if you want to change it back to dark mode, you can. And yeah, that's basically our whole application. Yeah, the user interface is very sleek, very modern. The colors and the whole application in the whole is very appealing to the eyes and visually stimulating. And yeah, the user interface is just good and very excellent, friendly, user friendly. We have different layouts and fonts and colors, as well as a bottom navigation bar just to navigate throughout the whole pages of the whole application. And yeah, that's basically our whole application, and I hope you did enjoy the video. And yes, thank you so much for watching.